All right, time to start. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the webinar for best ways to have a successful event. We're going to talk about challenges, benefits, tips for attending, exhibiting, selecting which events to attend to. And we're very lucky to have with us representatives from every single vertical related to the fintech industry. Welcome, please, everyone. We have Janet Pinto, a senior client relationship manager from Magnates, a big events producers of the London Summit, which is the 10th anniversary. Welcome, Janet.
Correct. Hi.
We have Ugne Buraciene, who is the group CEO at Payabl, a great acquirer and we're from the payments industry. She will be representing the payments industry today. We have Bjorn Engvist, who is institutional sales manager at Finalto. He will be representing the online trading community. We have Wassim Khateeb, who is the head of business development at FxCubic, representing Fintech. And we have Michael Pearl, who is the COO at Kirobo, representing digital assets and blockchain industry. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me in this conversation today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to get right into it because all of you are experts in events. You have been doing this for many, many, many years. And I'm sure everybody from the audience can get extremely good tips, and we can gather some very, very valuable insights that you can only get by practicing. So we're going to get right into it. The first topic that I would like to open to our amazing panel is related to the key benefits and challenges of attending and exhibiting in the fintech industry. So let's start with COVID. Pre-COVID versus post-COVID. What is the feeling from events from before COVID to after COVID? Maybe Janet, you want to start with this one?
Sure. COVID was really tough time for the event industry in general. But I think that it showed the value of a face-to-face event to all the people that exhibit and attend events. People were always saying, oh, another event, we know everybody, why should we attend? After 1 year, they didn't put a foot on an event. They understood the importance of shaking hands, having a drink with people, existing clients, new clients. Nothing can change a person-to-person conversation. So I believe that after COVID, even though COVID still is here, but after everything was open, people were very hungry to go to events, attend. They were super excited. And they realize, the value it has. Now, for events producer, it's been a challenge. Many suppliers disappeared. In London, for example, now that we're doing London Summit 2022, we find out that many of our regular suppliers shut down, and there are many events going on. So it's a challenge also to create a good event.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How has it been in the payments industry, Ugne, for example? What do you see? How has COVID hit in the payments vertical industry?
I would kind of have to agree with Janet that yes, I think the need for physical events, didn't disappear, which is good for you guys because that would be the end for Finance Magnates events. But what I do see and what I did notice that events didn't really bounce back fully, which is good and not good in a way. But good part is that I feel that the quality of the people that are there in the events is better in a way because it is more concentrated and people are more sort of dedicated to the fact that yes, they want to meet in person and they have more specific, let's say, goals when they go for the events. At least this is from my feeling, and I actually do like that it's more specific and more sort of organized in that way, because then in some cases pre-COVID, it could have get really, really hectic with a lot of people, and in some of the let's say, traffic and some of the things were not really, let's say, organized or coordinated, that well. So this is my feeling. In terms of the payments industry itself, okay, since we attend different kinds of events spanning from different, industries, it depends, some industry events, bounce back, better, some not so much. You do see some shrinkage in terms of the size of the events, especially if you compare really, really large, events. But still, the importance of the events, didn't disappear, and I think that is a very valid point, to take from pre or during COVID or whatever you want to, call it. So.
Michael, what is your feeling from the blockchain and digital assets industry? Has it changed a lot? Because it's a very newish kind of industry, everything that has to do with digital, cryptos, blockchain, NFTs, Web3.
Yeah, it's interesting because there was some sort of a paradox, because if you remember, the last wave started in around the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021, and it was concurrent with the biggest COVID waves. So you had a lot of companies that were established and wanted to do business, and there was a need for B2B and B2C events, but the world was basically shut down, and no event could actually take place. It's very different from, let's say, the FX industry, where the industry is very stable and COVID just shut everything down. Here, the industry was booming because obviously of geoeconomical reasons, but you couldn't do anything about it. You couldn't attend any event. And then when everything opened up, then we saw crypto events booming. Now, from what I see, there are a lot of events. And actually, something also that is quite paradoxical, before COVID, everyone was talking about online events. But then people were confined only to online events, and they saw that it's not that, efficient to attend only online events, because, as Janet said, you cannot drink coffee, you cannot talk to a person, you cannot, do that famous selfie with a person when you exchange phone numbers. So you do need the physical events. That's one of the biggest conclusions from the COVID period.
Wassim, do you feel that in fintech, from a B2B perspective, because that's your main focal point as a fintech, you do B2B, do you feel that is something that the online events hasn't really been able to fill up the gap during COVID? What do you feel?
Yeah, definitely. I think in many aspects of life, you don't realize the value of something until you miss it. And that's what happened with the events. Now, on the COVID area, there was more volatility in the market. So there was more trading volumes. That was good for the business, for the existing clients. But increasing the number of clients is directly related to us attending events, meeting new clients, new partners. And that's something we missed very much. I mean, as you said, B2B, it's about meeting people directly. It's about having a laugh with them, eating with them, having a drink, partying with them, having direct interactions. And that's something we missed a lot. And we're happy to be back to normal.
Bjorn, did you also feel that the trading volumes went up? So maybe profitability of the online trading industry went up, but in terms of acquiring new business, it wasn't good enough?
I think that obviously COVID was a really terrible thing for the whole world. But for the online trading industry, it was beneficial, like Wassim's saying. Volumes went up, volatility went up, and a lot of brokers, had a really good period. But of course, we're seeing a little bit of an after effect of that now, where some brokers, it's fading off, and people don't have the economical status globally is not the same as it was. So I think, the COVID for the industry has had some really bad effect, but like Wassim is saying, some clients have done really, really well. When it comes to the expos, of course, we all, leading up to 2020, I think we were all quite a little bit exhausted because there were so many expos we were traveling to. But we quickly realized, not only in business, but also socially, how much valuable this social interaction is. So I think having the expos back for real, which I feel it is now, because as Finalto, we took it quite easy when it came to the sponsorships when the expos first started coming back. But now we feel that, okay, these events are really filling up again, and really everybody is excited about it. So I think, they really have been truly missed. And I think not only from B2B perspective, but also for the buyers. You know, they want to see the providers, they want to sit down with them, they want to look them in the eyes, you know, who is providing a real quality product and who is delivering what they promise. So for them, I believe it's also invaluable.
One thing I wanted to add is that, yes, clearly events are a very good qualified leads generation channel. And probably the first purpose of attending is to generate new business, to meet new people, and to present and promote our product and services. But it is definitely not the only reason we at FxCubic attend events. There are other dimensions that we look at, such as being able to get a direct feedback from the industry about our products, and not only about our products, but about the competition products, see where there are places to improve, where we can do things better. And it's difficult to get that on a phone call or on a Zoom meeting. Need to spend some time with the customer and get his feedback directly. Another important dimension, I believe, is for markets prospection. For example, the event now in Thailand that we are attending is mainly in order for us to test the waters in Asia, in which we don't have that big of a presence, and we are planning to. So we want to understand what is the regulatory landscape, what is the competition over there, the way people look into that business. That's not direct sales, but it's a very, very important component to the business. And another important part is that I believe it's sometimes difficult to measure, but I think the events are also a very good way to keep the sales teams, and I'm even speaking about myself, to keep the sales team motivated on exchanging energy with the industry, meeting new people, seeing what the competition is doing, and getting into that evolution of how the industry is moving forward, and what is what card can we get out of this game. So it definitely helps to keep executives motivated and driven and focused on results.
So I guess at that stage, it comes down to, do we attend, or do we exhibit, or do we sponsor? So this is actually, it's a very good point, because I wanted to get to asking, you know, what makes you decide, should we attend an event, or should we exhibit an event, or should we sponsor an event? How do you define these parameters? What helps you go and decide this? And has COVID changed your understanding or your policy to make these kind of decisions? Maybe Wassim, since you had started, you can continue with this.
I think when you sponsor, you also attend and exhibit in the same time. So if you had the luxury of an unlimited budget, that will always be the choice. Now, I believe in whether you are sponsoring and exhibiting, you need to keep in mind the continuity of it. So taking a booth once and then not doing it again helps, but not much. I think it's about the repetition. It's people seeing you, and seeing you ideally growing every time by increasing either the presence, the booth size, or the sponsorship is something that is important. But of course, that comes also to the different budget constraints that are within the company. If there was no constraint like this, I would always go for a sponsorship package, because you are at the same time attending and exhibiting.
I can also add a little bit to that. I'm kind of also jumping sort of a little bit back to the points, you know, that Bjorn and Wassim, you know, discussed. I wouldn't completely say, you know, that the shows, by the way, are back, you know, fully. And I think there's also like a little bit of a backlog in terms of, let's say for us at least, because, you know, we attend different types of industry events. So what we've seen also in the past is that events sort of accumulated. So we have to be very choosy, which I'm also coming to the question, how do you choose and whether you exhibit or whatever else, right? So then we end up with a list of 45 events, which I'm not joking. So for the year, right? And then we're going like, okay, so these are mixing up, dates, these are, and then how do you sort of, take the decision that, okay, this here we want to exhibit, here we want to attend. And for us, at least from our perspective, I can sort of give a little bit of insight, how we do it. First of all, we start actually from the resources, because if you have events that you are attending globally for different kinds of industries, first of all, I need to make sure that I have enough teams, to go to those events, right? And then also it should be specific, to your company needs. So if your company needs are, to grow a certain market, to be known, or is it, for branding purposes, there's a lot of different things that that you do for the purpose that you choose for that industry, right? So if you want to do it for branding, of course sponsorship, like maybe sub events, around the actual event, or partnering with the actual organizers of the event to do something together, that's an option. I do agree if resources and budget is not a limitation, that yes, of course, sponsoring or exhibiting is ideal. But in our case, because there are so many events really that that also come up, and some of them are older or newer. So the way that we do it, we say, okay, for the new events and for the things that that we're not sort of so sure about, we always attend. So we attend, we test the waters, or sometimes we take the plunge and say, okay, let's do a booth, and then we see basically what the outcome is. But ultimately, it boils down to the resources of the company, to the goals of the company. So where are you going with that? What you want to do? Is it an expansion, question? Is it a branding question? Is it, I don't know, you're opening a new office in a specific, country or something like that, if it is a country specific, event. So the company itself should decide, what the goals are. And then if you have, of course, and then according to your budget, then you can, go all out. If you have the money and the resources, then it's easy. But for us, at least from my perspective, first is the resource. Second is basically the priorities where we want to be. And then if those sort of align, then if the priority is high for that specific, vertical, then we will go out all out, right? And also for us, the event, let's say, cost is also very different. So of course, when you look at, certain industry, events, some of them are more expensive, some of them are not so. So that can also play a part. So where do you really exhibit? Where do you really sponsor? Because the value afterwards, when you weigh it, like what you got out of it, sort of still needs, to be validated. Though in some cases, if it is for branding purposes, you might not get that validation. You might not know exactly what you got out of it. So it's again, at the end of the day, it's what the company has in mind for its business, and then the rest is just sort of planning and organization of their resources.
What I want to take what Wassim talked about, talking with a lot of clients that come year after year to London Summit. I always hear this something very similar. It's not only about new leads, which is very important, new business. It's also about existing clients. It's an opportunity to meet your clients in one place, face to face, to talk to them, to see what your competition is doing. So if you are already going to an event year after year, it's tough to stop doing it because it shows something to the rest. What's happening with your company, why you didn't come. So you have the regulars, like we call them, but the value they have, they tell me, is meeting all the clients they have in one place and being able to just network and be with them.
It's retention.
I want
Michael,
to tap
go ahead,
into,
yeah.
I want to tap into what Janet is saying. And I think Wassim was also talking about continuity. So the thing is, a lot of processes take time, okay? And you cannot always get all your goals fulfilled in one single iteration, in one single event. So you meet with people, you start building a relationship with them, you start building, exchanging ideas. They learn about your company, you learn about them. Those things take time, and sometimes, or oftentimes, you need to meet the person more than once or maybe twice in order for you to build a relationship with them, especially in the B2B segment, because it's a strategic decision for a company to choose, I don't know, liquidity provider, a payments provider, and so on. It's not something to be taken lightly. Same thing with investors in the crypto space. So it's something that takes a few iterations in essence. So the idea is to identify, as a company, to identify the audience that you want to address and to start working that audience. And again, this may take one event or two events or maybe even 3 events until you reach your goals. So that's the power of continuity here. I think that every company that expects to get immediate results from one event, it's something that is virtually impossible. I see that right now because the first event is only to test the waters. Then you have follow-ups. Then you meet this person one more time. Maybe something have changed. Maybe now you have a better market fit for them. And that's basically when deals are made at this point.
Mm-hmm. Do you all agree with that statement?
Yeah, I mean, yes, in a way. That's, I think, what I mentioned also about how you test the water, right? In a way, so that it is kind of a continuity, which I have to agree, because, you know, if you are going to those events, you know, prior to that and you're not exhibiting, at least, you know, you are not wasting money if you don't know whether this is something, you know, for you. And then building that momentum around the actual, you know, event. And one, I think, point which is very valid and is very important is that it's not only about attending the event and then suddenly thinking that, you know, the whole business will fall on your head and, you know, you will have 100 leads and that is done. It's correct. A lot of things have to happen around the event also for the company, right? So who's working, you know, to meet the people there, what kind of presence, you know, you are sending, what kind of message, you know, you're sending out, you know, to the audience that, you know, that you want to target. If you're just really expecting, you know, to show up and turn up into a booth and thinking that that's the job that you do, then that's not the job that you do. And then you should not waste your money. And then you should just really buy a ticket, go attend and save the money for something else. So the investment for me, also the way that I look at it is not only the actual, let's say if you are an exhibitor, right? It's also the things that happen around it, right? So it's preparation. And then if you do it right, and if you have the continuity, and if that is a market that, you know, that you want to be known in, or again, you know, meet existing, you know, clients, partners, whatever it is, I think that that's the key to success. But just having it as a one-off thing, kind of, you know, expecting, you know, the world, probably not the right approach, really.
I think that Janet, from the 10th year of the London Summit experience, I think that you can probably give us some good insight of a zoom out of all those clients, all those hundreds of exhibitors that have been coming and going throughout the years, the ones that stick, etc. Maybe you can tell us a little bit how you see it from.
Yeah, there's been, of course, clients that were big, become small, or disappear. But then you have the stability, the clients that know exactly what to do, how to prepare, and what to expect from an event. Because expectations, it's something very important. If your expectations are unreal, then you're going to have a bad experience. If you decide to just show up and get everything, like Ugne said, it won't happen. You need to work. Really work hard prior the event, set your goals, meetings, look for who are going to be the attendees, who's going to be walking the floor, how many meetings you want to do. It's a lot of work. Do you want to be a speaker? Do you want to attend educational panels? There's so much going on an event, and you can see, based on experience, you can see the clients that do their homework, and the ones that do the homework get results. The ones that just stand there and expect clients coming to them, it's going to be tough. They might get lucky, but it's not what I would advise. This year, for example, in London Summit, we have a new tool that I think it's going to be fantastic, which is you're going to be able to start networking through an app before the event. So,
congratulations.
Yeah, you're going to be able to.
That's a very good step.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. You're going to be able to sort the attendees based on your interest. And that way you're going to be able to do meetings and network before, get prepared. So everybody will have the opportunity to do so and have a great event. It's going to be everything there.
Yeah,
so
really
Bjorn, sorry, I want to ask Bjorn. Bjorn, so do you prepare yourself How do you prepare yourself and your team?
Well, I think building onto what Janet said, preparation. I think it's key to the expos, and also building onto what Wassim said. If you're entering in, if you're a new brand and you're out there thinking about exhibiting, I think it's extremely important to do your research. Even established brand like FxCubic, they're going into Asia. It's a new territory. They're not necessarily going in with a massive sponsorship immediately. They go there, they attend, and they see the market. And I think this is a good advice. I think, again, summarizing Ugne, it's all down to where are you as a company? What is your budget? What is, you got to build a strategy. And, I think the London Summit, if we're talking about these events in our industry, B2B, I think it's given birth to so many new brands over the years. I was part of it 2012 when it launched, and until today, you see some brands grown from very fresh startups to established global brands. And it is a place where at one stage or another, you really have to enter and build on it. And like Michael said as well, the consistency, the red line that the company have with these events, that's extremely important in my opinion. You have to build consistency to see conversion, because it doesn't come over day. And although I was part once of a startup with a new technology to the industry, or somewhat new, where we went totally unprepared, out of the impulse, we took a booth at the last minute, and we were very lucky. We came back with tons of leads, but that was also the amount of leads where we couldn't convert it. We weren't ready for that amount of leads. So it's also, it's very important to understand where you are as a company, and are you able to handle this type of leads that's coming in, or this business. So I think as a new brand, you really have to build consistently, and you have to set a good plan. So
I need to summarize what you guys just all of you mentioned.
I just want to add one point on what Bjorn said, because it's actually very important. The preparation is not only by preparing yourself and identifying who are your potential customers, targets, and what type of marketing message you want to pass. It's also, there is an intrinsic work on understanding where do you stand as a company in the industry, and try to reflect that on the expo. To give a simple example, we think that over the years, we are in a position today that is of leadership in the markets. And that's why we felt it's time for the Finance Magnates London Summit to go for a much bigger sponsorship than we used to, in order to make a statement about it and to reflect that situation in the industry. And that's something that was possible only because we looked and we prepared, but not only looking at the audience, but looking at ourselves and where do we stand.
I want to say, I want to add something to what Wassim is saying. I think that the beauty and the biggest advantage of a sponsorship is to get all the eyes on you, and basically to raise the awareness towards the brand. And it's a very good strategy if you have some other steps along the way that will actually continue to funnel the people and to get them to you, because seeing a logo is not enough, right? You need to have some sort of a mechanism on the floor to attract the people to hear more, especially if you're a new company, like the story that Bjorn said. You need to have some sort of a mechanism that is that is very well thought through, where someone needs to eventually tell the people more information about the company, engage with them, explain what they can gain from you. How are you different from your competitor? So there needs to be a whole strategy behind this. And again, sponsorship can be a very, very, very powerful tool, but it's only the beginning, right? Just like the example that Bjorn said about the leads. You can have a lot of leads, but if you're not doing the right preparation for the next steps, you're not going to get to your goals.
Yes,
it's like any marketing tool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I call it an event funnel. And
I actually want to challenge Wassim here a little bit. The way I see it is that if you are already a leader, why do you care? Why would you invest more money in the same event and in the same sort of, spending more on the same where you can go to another event to invest that? That is my approach, right? So if I would feel, in that way that, look, I'm there, I'm doing really well. So coming back to all of the other comments, yes, maintaining, the presence, being around, meeting, but that money can be put into good use for other stuff. But this is sort of,
but it's
my
also
opinion.
like a statement.
But it's also coming to the same point that, if it's you have no budget restraints, then go for it.
Maybe we need to think to get in the payment business then.
I think Ugne is spoiled for choice,
Guys, moderating here. Thank you. I know this is a very hot topic. Since Ugne said she was going to challenge Wassim, I'm going to allow him to reply first. And then Janet, I saw you raising your hand first, and then Bjorn, okay? Let's take turns. We're civilized here.
Yes.
Semi-civilized.
Yeah, I think first of all, it's much more difficult to get to a leadership position than to lose it. So attending the different expos is a way to stay on a position of market leading, and it allows, as Janet mentioned, to work on the retention aspect of the business. Now, why, if we are on that position, we are not entering other verticals? It's mainly because, like they say, give the bread to the baker. Everyone has a specialty in which he is good at, and unfortunately or fortunately, the specialized trade shows on our specific need, which is for bridging on aggregation, are quite limited. And we are attending all the main expos for that. Now, that doesn't mean that we want to entering into other verticals, but that's not the focus at the moment. So it's definitely to maintain that leadership position and to be at the events that make sense for us, which is on that specific niche we are targeting.
To be honest, I was expecting an answer like that. So, but it was just nice, to because I'm looking at it from my perspective. But of course, for someone that is working in a niche, sort of speak, of course, then why, if you don't have also sort of the opportunity, to take it elsewhere, then of course, why not, be the epicenter, for the industry.
Yeah. Janet, you wanted to add something as well?
I totally agree with Wassim on what he said. I mean, it's a statement you do on the event that has your potential clients and existing clients. You want to show who you are in that specific niche. So I totally agree that, you can send people to other, but it depends on what you do. Like Ugne, you have so many possibilities in payments. You are not in one niche. You have many niches, but people that are on the online industry it's completely different. There are certain events that are flagships for that, and of course you want to put your feet and say, I'm the boss here. That's it.
Yeah. No, I totally. As I said, I was expecting Wassim's answer, so I mean it's clear, but it's just it is a very specific market and it's a niche, industry as well. And, hence we all know each other from many years, from before. So I take it, but I just wanted to put this, perspective, from my side, because we are not very sort of niche oriented in a way. And we spread our wings, I would say, quite wide. And that this is, how I utilize, and if anyone is like that, in the space or listening, to the webinar, that they can also kind of, take that into the consideration.
Mm-hmm. Bjorn, you wanted to add something, and then Michael, maybe you can add something as well, and we'll wrap up this question because I want to move to the next one.
Yeah, no, I think it's the same like Wassim and Janet said. Ugne is spoiled for choice, but that's a great thing for her. But for us,
or not,
a bit more niche, then it's very important to maintain that brand awareness, to maintain the stature of your company in the industry. And I think, as Finalto, we are keen to do that. And that's why we continue to sponsor in a large scale. And we see the benefits from that. So, yeah.
I want to say something, just to give an example from the crypto industry. So Binance, at least in some areas, they are basically the leading crypto exchange, at least in the CeFi world. but still you see them attending every event, whether it's B2B, B2C, you know, the more institutional events and so on. It's a matter of obviously of keeping and maintaining your brand and your position, but beyond that, we have to remember that an event or an expo is not only a marketing tool. It is part of the marketing funnel, but it's not only about marketing. To give you an example, it's a very good chance to engage with the end users, right? And to get some responses. And nowadays, it's quite paradoxically, but it's cheaper to actually fly a team somewhere and to attend an event or even to sponsor it than to pinpoint a specific user somewhere in the world via online and to get some real responses from them. Because it's very hard, you know, to gather users, to get some real responses. Let's say if you want some feedback on your product, to sift through all the fakes. For instance, if you want to do a hackathon or something of that sort. So an event where somebody has worked very hard on getting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people from the same industry in one place, if you prepare yourself in the right way, you can gain a lot from it beyond marketing. So that's why, at least in my industry, all the leaders are doing that and continue to do that regardless of their size and position.
Mm-hmm. I will add my 5 cents here before moving to the next question, because you have pretty much covered the point that Ugne had mentioned, but I will add that as a market leader, when you go to an attend, and why sponsor if you're already the market leader? Well, for the newbies, basically, that's what I would say. That would be my 5 cents, because everybody that has already been in an industry, if you're a market leader and they know that, they have seen you, etc., sure. But somebody that is cross-checking from industry, so moving from gaming to finance, for example, or from fintech to gambling and these kind of things, it's not a given to know who the relevant actors are, and they base their choices to create their businesses on these kind of trade shows. So if you go to a trade show and you see huge advertising with the biggest floor space for one brand with all these shiny, beautiful things, you're like, oh, they're the biggest, I'm gonna go talk to them first. So this is one of the reasons that I believe, this is my opinion, that helps a market leader stay a market leader, because you're market leader today, but that doesn't guarantee you will be market leader tomorrow if you don't get your message out there, because there is new businesses going out every day. My 5 cents.
It's real estate, isn't it? At the end of the day, the size of the booth and the location of the booth and the possibility based on that to attract the right traffic. It's a very similar reasoning to the one you have when investing in real estate. You want to be on the central booth, on a big booth, where all the traffic is in order to attract it. Yes.
Yeah, and also I would still like to challenge it a little bit, because that's kind of, I'm looking at it from a slightly different perspective maybe, because yes, exhibitions is one part of the marketing tools or sales funnel or whatever you wanna call it, but it's only one tool in a way, at least for us. So the way that I see it is that, yes, it's nice, to have, this, huge presence, but in some cases, and I see it throughout the events with very large companies, with really market leaders in payments, they're never presenting, they never have any booths, they never have, large, presence, because they really don't need to. And what I see more is actually going into niche, ways of attract the audience. So like, organizing, side events, to the actual, huge, events that are happening, and only focusing on the audience, that they want to attract. So it's kind of like, I see two sides of the coins here, because I really see from payment side that it's not really like that, most likely you will not come to a certain exhibition and you will see that, I don't know, like Adyen or Stripe is basically plastered, all around, all of the shows. They simply just don't need to, and they can use the resources, somewhere else, but they're doing it more, let's say, focused in a way. So I think it's kind of, two sides of the coin here.
Mm-hmm. I want to add something to what Ugne said. The side events is actually a very good point, because it's very, very, I haven't seen that in the FX industry, at least in my years of attending it.
No.
But it's very, very common in the crypto industry. Usually you
not
have
only in crypto, in many industries as well.
I can imagine, because it's very, very, very effective. So that's definitely another derivative of the event, but you cannot have that without the underlying event that will actually
absolutely
attract all the people to come there. So it's kind of a it's a interaction between the different types of obviously on a side event you can do a more meaningful talk.
Yeah.
And Andrea, maybe that's something that you guys should consider for next events.
I think that we have I am sure, not that I think, that some of our clients do private dinners for their clients, and they do invitations in a private way. I think even if it's not done through us, I believe, and I've seen it, they do it.
I will invite you, Michael, to our next side event. There'll be one in London.
Noted.
Guys, I'm gonna have to stop here this part of the conversation because I wanted to open the floor for questions about now, but we still have a couple of interesting questions to go through, so we're gonna go to that. I'm gonna merge two in one because we don't have time for both. So I'm gonna ask you to mention the most common mistakes to avoid either before an event or during an event or after an event for our audience here, and give them your best tips from all your years of experience in all these events. What are your do's and don'ts that you want our audience to take away from this webinar? And I'm telling all of the audience that even if, because there has been a lot of people joining in the middle, others that have to go. So I'm just saying that this webinar is recorded and it will be posted on Finance Media, Finance Magnates social channels, YouTube channel, etc. And it will be available for view after, so do not worry. So who wants to start with the common mistakes to avoid and best tips that you can recommend?
I would be happy.
Go for it, Wassim, go for it.
No, please, go ahead.
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Okay, fine. I think I will just kind of recap a little bit of what we discussed, and honestly, for me, what I would just advise: don't waste money. So be prepared. So be prepared in all possible ways. Utilize before, after, during, how you do everything. Right. That's really, I think, from my side, that's really the biggest tip and the biggest mistake that the companies do. Don't take it for granted. Don't think that, that this will, come easy. It requires, a lot of work, and really utilize, your resources well. That's really all that it is. And dress appropriately, as we already discussed, before the pre-session, is that check the event that you're going to, and it's really, it's a small thing, but sometimes it can really matter whether you blend in or not.
Yeah.
Wassim.
Yeah, I've been attending events for a long time. I have many tips to mention, like dressing code, like the preparation, like others. But if there is one that I really wanted to communicate on, is that before the event and after and when the event starts, there is a change of paradigm. A change of paradigm that implies for the exhibitors to change their mindset. So before the event, as a salesperson, the resources that you have available a lot are time and energy. On the one that you don't have much or qualified leads. But at 9 a.m., the day the event starts, everything changes. There are many leads everywhere, and you're limited in time and you're limited in energy. That's why about the time factor, if I wanted to give an advice, is optimize it as much as you can. An event should be more of a speed dating dialogue than sitting and spending hours with the same single customers. Yes, relationship is important, but you can do that after the event. You can fly again, you can invite them. But during that specialized trade show, try to see as many persons as you can in order to generate as much leads possible that you can then take the time that you have more on the energy that you have in order to dedicate to it. About the energy part, I think shouldn't party too much so that you're fresh the next day. Go enjoy, but stay focused because the time is of essence during it, and we need to make the best out of it. I even would advise against going for lunch. I don't do lunch at expos, except if I am with a prospect having lunch or attending.
Except at the London Summit, where the lunch is served to you while you're having your meeting.
That's very good. Or the attending panels, for example. It's very informative. It's very good. It's usually, especially on your expo guys, it's very high quality content. But at the end of the day, it's recorded. So you could watch it after and you could dedicate that time into pushing and to generating more and more leads. So it's about being alert to this change of paradigm that implies a change of mindset. That's really the best tip I can give to them.
I can build
and also,
on that.
I just want to, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Ugne. I can build on that because also, like Wassim, I'm business development. So I think leading up to these events, it's very important to remember it's not a holiday. You're going there on a company's expense. You know, you have to prepare yourself. You have to represent. Don't forget that you're wearing the company's badge on your chest at all times. And also, I agree. I would like to challenge Wassim, but I have to agree that spending too much time with the clients during the expo is not really aligned with the aim, right? So you want to meet as many people as possible and give them, yes, a quality impression, but also knowing that you can follow up with them and give them much more of your time afterwards. So yeah, the face-to-face follow-up and basically executing, you know, the sale or the conversion all happens after the event. So it is a funnel, and don't spend too much time with the clients during the event. I'm also like Wassim. They record I don't think I've seen a single panel. I watch them afterwards. I don't go for lunch with the clients during the event because I don't want to lose 2 hours doing that. And yeah, I think another point that I want to mention is if you think you're going to buy a booth and leads are going to come to you, it's not really how it works. You have to read the pulse in the events. So if people are not coming to your booth, the traffic is not passing by you, then you have to go out and look for it in the cafe area or in the bar or in the networking parties, just to make sure that you're getting the real value. So and that's my advice.
Yeah, sorry, just to top up also for both of you what you said, and also because, you know, I've been attending, you know, events for many years, and also I attended in many roles, and also I started in some events, which was kind of like, actually, I think the first industry-specific event that I attended was IFX, which I remember that was like chaos on its own. But my actually advice to the managers and to the heads of business development is to really make sure that, you know, when you send people on a booth, that they do know how to qualify the leads on the booth on the spot, right? This is my really, I think it's very important. It's about time. It's about the fact that, you know, that yes, if you already have someone, you know, coming to you, just make sure that also it's, you know, nicely, but the time is not wasted, you know, on both ends, right? So being upfront of the things, you know, that you can offer to each other, and that your team is really equipped to qualify somebody on the spot, you know, whether this is a potential or not, it's also very important, right? So that you don't focus or don't spend also, you know, too much time on the leads that, you know, are not, you know, really that relevant. And also at these shows, which is also kind of maybe an advice or a tip, because, you know, just be prepared if you are new that, you know, there will be companies that are coming to sell to you too. So that is also one important part, right? So you just need to know where you are in the chain, and that your team also is aware of that, and that, you know, that if there is someone coming, you know, to sell something, you know, to you as a company, that, you know, that you also put them in the right place and in the right sort of, you know, order, and take it from there. So this is just kind of like a top up for the thing. So again, time used wisely and really qualifying on the spot, on the booth, if you already invested in the money to have a booth.
Mm-hmm. Michael?
Yeah, I actually prepared the list, Andrea, because you asked so nicely. But I want to focus. I agree with what my colleague said here. I want to focus on the more technical things. Okay, so for instance, I would advise to get a hotel nearby. It sounds very basic, but it's so important. You know, you cannot know what's going to happen with traffic, And as my colleagues here said, you have only that much energy and only that much time, and it's a stressful day as it is. You don't want to be late, you don't want to be stuck in traffic, especially when it's November in London and it's raining. So getting a hotel nearby is very valuable in my point of view. You need to study the venue. Okay, knowing the venue is very important. It could save you a lot of time. You can schedule with someone in real time to meet at the cafe and, you know, guide them to it, and it can save a lot of time. And these things, from my experience, are what makes you know, meetings happen or fail, right? Because the person can find you, it doesn't have enough time, that's it, you don't see the person, and then you're sorry for it. I would also advise
time zone, right? And time zone, as we discussed before, right?
For sure. By the way, speaking of time zones, I would really, and I'm not their affiliate by no means, but I would really suggest working with Calendly. And in Calendly, you can create a specific event. You can customize it as per the time zone that you're going to be in. So you can pre-plan everything to the last minute of it, and you can even leave gaps to move from place to place. So that's a very powerful tool that can organize your day, and everything is as per the time zone. One thing that I want to say that is specific for the crypto industry or digital assets in general is that there are no business cards anymore. You know, first of all, people don't have business cards, and to be perfectly honest, I think that a much more personal approach to it would be just to exchange phone numbers. If the person feels comfortable enough to give you his Telegram or WhatsApp, that means that, you know, there is some prospect to this relationship, to this leading to conversion. If not, then, you know, it's just a matter of courtesy, right? So giving someone your business card, it usually gets lost or finds its way to some CRM. When you exchange phone numbers or telegrams, you can ping the person later. Remember me? We spoke next to the cafe. Let's do a follow-up Zoom call, and then everything starts from there. It's much more efficient and much more personal. So that's that's my take on it.
I can lead on from that and show me our business cards with a QR code.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't have a business card, but
very good.
Here is what actually, guys, if you want to scan my contact details, feel free to do so.
My marketing team will be very happy, but it is a very useful tool. It is a very useful tool. And, you know, if you run out of business cards, which have happened to me before, then you have one left and you let everybody scan it. So it's a good one. And building on from Michael as well, I would advise flying in early. I know it costs extra, maybe one night more in a hotel, but it gives you that chance to tick off existing clients, have meetings, meet people that you know already in the welcome party, and then on the 2 days, you're fully focused on new business.
That's a good tip. Janet, what would you advise everyone?
I agree with Michael in the technical thing. Book your hotel, your tickets. If you're not close to the venue, check the way, the tube that takes you there, or how long you have to commute. And of course, comfortable shoes. See the weather. It's hard work to stand 12, 13 hours in a row. So just prepare yourself. Of course, have the best mood possible, and do not party too hard. So you don't, but it's true. I mean, with all my years of experience, I've seen so many second days, weak second days because of hard partying, and it's a pity. You know, events are, you have to boost the possibility you have to meet all these 2,000 people or 3,000 or 1,000, depends on the size of the event. And it's such a great opportunity that it's a waste of time, I think, absolutely. But that's me. What not to do, again, if you think that you're going to go there and just stand in one spot and everybody's going to come to you, it won't happen. Prepare yourself. See the floor plan, see where each booth is located, make a plan. Who are you going to visit first, last, whatever, and that's the way you're going to succeed.
If I may add for myself before we wrap it up and move to a Q&A, because we have quite a lot of questions on the Q&A, and we will only have time for one or two, but we can answer all of them in writing afterwards, do not worry, and we can connect you to the relevant speaker because there is specific questions to some of the speakers. So from my end, I would, besides reinforcing everything that everybody said here, which all of it is 100% true, I would say do homework. I cannot stress enough, and as management, make sure your BizDev team is doing their homework, because you're investing in paying their flights, their hotels, the tickets, the booths, the sponsorships, everything. If they are not prepared and then you're evaluating the ROI, it's not on the event, it's on your team. You have already done your homework before deciding that you are going to invest in that event. So when you send your sales team there, the sales team needs to know that there is an app that they can network in beforehand. They need to have their tickets. They need to know the website from A to Z. They need to have learned by heart the floor plan. They can overlook the speaker sessions, because as BizDev, they should not be attending speaking sessions. They should be networking 100% of the time, because time is limited, as everybody has mentioned. And they knowing the list of attendees, contacting beforehand, scheduling meetings, and making sure the details are sent correctly. And when they're on the floor, if you have a booth, do not stay behind the booth. Salespeople, when they have the counter, some people in some companies, they tend to stay behind the counter and just wait for the flow to come. Some people are intimidated to just come and talk at the booth, especially if they see you're busy. Have somebody in the corridor just spontaneously talking to people that pass by. Everybody there is a potential either for you to buy a product, for them to buy a product from you that they didn't even know you offered, for a partnership, for a revenue share, go figure. It's all qualified attendees. So make sure that you have done your homework before and that your sales team is ready for that and they have the proactive attitude of making the best of it. That would be my top advice. And now, with further ado, I'm gonna thank everyone, and I'm gonna go on the Q&A questions, and I'll just have to pick one because we already went over time. Let's see. What is the network? So this is a specific question about the London Summit, actually. And which social media tools can be used as attendees? So maybe Janet, you can reply about the networking blitz, and you guys can advise as what kind of tools do you usually use as attendees, maybe for lead collectors, to promote that you're at the event. How do you usually communicate about it? So Janet, you go first.
So the question is about the networking blitz?
Yes.
Okay, the networking blitz is, I think, is speed dating, actually, with drinks. It's fun. This year it's going to be in Banking Hall, in close by venue of Old Billingsgate, beautiful venue. And you have free drinks, quiet, you see everybody 5 to 9 time. And you can already start, because we're going to have the app, you can already start meeting the people there, small talk. So don't be shy, go network, say hi to everybody. Everybody's on a good mood that day, for sure.
Well, Michael, I know that you have to go right now, so we're going to thank you for it. If anybody has specific questions for Michael, we can get you in touch, no problem. And you can find his details from the landing page and the mailer, and we will send the video later on. Thank you, Michael, for your participation. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Michael.
Bye.
Take care.
And for the rest of you, we're going to ask the last question. So what tools do you use to promote that you're attending, and what tools do you use during the event, like lead collectors and this kind of thing? I'm merging two questions into one. Who wants to start?
I can start. I mean, I think it's quite obvious that LinkedIn is a good vertical to announce that you're attending. And it's also a little bit of a lead collector. But during the event, it has to be something quick and easy. I personally use Excel or classic notes on the business card just to make sure that, I remember who I spoke to and what we spoke about. And yeah, I mean, that's the verticals that I use. If someone can come up with a new technology where you quickly, scan the business card and can put in a few notes, then that would be great.
There are plenty of tools like this. I'm like you, I write on the business card the old style way, and that's the way I do. But I'm sure there are very cool technologies to scan business cards. And in terms of communication, we make usually an email blast announcing our participation. Definitely LinkedIn is a very valid channel, and mainly these two.
I would agree. I would say that these two, also personal connections, also from the business development team or anyone else, that is going. So kind of announcing, that you're there. Also utilizing your own emails and utilizing your own kind of, presence when you're communicating with anyone really outside of the company. So, marketing banners and tools, here and there, to put inside, your communication, which is, I think it's always good. In terms of the actual collection, actually, the thing that I showed is that actually it's just a simple QR code. We don't have business cards anymore in the company. And I really hope that everyone will move to it, because if you do have a QR code, then you essentially can scan on any device that you have, and you can collect and store all of those leads very simply, and you can put notes. And also the person that is basically scanning my QR code, they can save me in any media that exists. So basically LinkedIn, phone, whatever it is, that you want. So, but for the old school style, I would have to agree with, Wassim, if you're really collecting, business card, and for newbies, if, you are there and you are on the booth and someone, came with a business card, just write it, but make sure you don't lose it. And one thing that, kind of from the advice, that we had also, before, because it happened to someone that I know, is that they did write on all of the business cards, and they had a lot of business cards, and the business cards were lost. So then you come back from an event empty-handed, because you had written or everything on all of the business cards that you have. So so that was my next point. So, and I always do that religiously, because I lose business cards and I really don't like business cards that much. So if I did write something, or if I got a business card, I just take a picture, or take a picture of the badge actually of the person as well. So worst case scenario, if you really didn't have a chance, or you lost the business card, you can always go back, find them on LinkedIn or somewhere else, and still, catch up. So really making sure that you capture that person, or somehow capture that data in any way possible. Unfortunately, I don't think there is a single most used or very good tool. But what Janet also mentioned about the networking tool, actually is really cool, because a lot of the large events that we attend actually have networking tools. And I would again mention Money 2020, because they have an awesome one, really. And actually there, if you do set up the meetings, everything is synced with a calendar. And what that means is that afterwards you have all of the contacts, and you can reach everything, easily. So that is something, that Finance Magnates is doing. Kudos to you, because that actually saves a lot of the hassle for the writing of the business cards and kind of, all of this, kind of things, because you can do it very easily in the app. You find the person, you said, okay, we met, great, and also usually it's open for quite some time after the show. So you can still anytime go back and check the notes, check what you discussed and whatever else. We use it religiously, and even I do. So I mean, for me, it's really a good step for you guys.
I don't know if you guys have like 5 more minutes, but there is one very interesting question that came from the audience that I think would really have answered, and would love to see your minds on it, because this happens very often. So they're asking, how do you start a conversation at a trade show with somebody that you don't know? They're just passing by, and you feel very awkward about starting to talk about anything. How do you guys, like, what's your way to start a conversation with someone?
A handshake, definitely.
Hi, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't know. After hi,
yeah,
what do you say?
How are you?
Does your company
How's
do?
the show?
Yeah.
How's the show for you? Where did you come from? Like, when did you arrive? I mean, really? It doesn't have to be anything, business related. You see a person, it's the same person, that you would meet anywhere, on the street. What do? You're polite. You ask how they are, where they came from, and then kind of, okay, so what do you do? How's the show for you? How's it going? Is it meeting your expectation? What do you do? Right? So it's kind of, the questions will flow as they go along. But really, Very simple. Just say hi and just ask, how the person is doing. Sometimes you will see people also tired after the show or during the show, of all of the walking and whatever else. I'm sure you can see it from the situation when you see the person, what is the right question, to ask, and then you take it from there. Really, it's that simple.
I think a good handshake makes things easier in general. And the first question I always ask if they heard about us, do you know about FxCubic? Do you know what we do? And then I just start explaining, and things naturally, organically get to a good discussion.
That is if you see the badge and you know that is a potential client, because sometimes you will meet someone and you don't see the badge and you don't really know exactly whether it is a lead or not a lead, or whether you kind of need to test the waters in a way to see, okay, is it someone that, we're going to go into this, at least this is how I do it, right? If I see someone and if the badge is clearly someone that, is shouting like, okay, this is my direct, client, then yes, I would go for all of that as well.
Thankfully, most of the time they are qualified in different colors, whether it's broker, service providers.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, true.
Things.
I think it's important to remember that everybody that comes to the expo, they come there for one reason. They come there to network. They come there to look for products or, to buy or to find out, to do research. So I think, there's no need to be shy. Like Ugne says, there's many different ways to open a conversation. Like Wassim said, very politely, you can reach out and shake their hands and say, do you know about Finalto? And then you can start explaining. So I think, even us that have been to many, many expos, we use the very basic classical, first liners that you do in everyday life. So yeah, it's nothing more strange than that. You just socialize.
Janet,
not rocket
you have
science
been
at all. Not rocket science at all, really.
Janet, how do you do it?
Oh, just a nice hello. What do you do? What is your business about? You just have to be nice and not be shy. Just say hi. Like Ugne say, how are you? How are you doing?
And
are
smile.
You enjoying? A smile, that's it. Very, very simple.
Yeah.
Invite them for a coffee. Say, you look tired. Let's get a coffee.
You look tired. I have that wheel for you. Everything's okay. No, it's just about being nice and polite and friendly. You don't have to be afraid of people. They're all there for the same reason you are, to do business. That's
Perfect.
it.
Thank you so much. I think we're going to wrap this up. We went 10 minutes over time, but I think it was a very exciting conversation and the audience could get really, really good tips. I'm just going to say, if anybody's interested in hearing more about exhibiting, attending, sponsoring at the London Summit 2022, there's still time. You can contact Janet directly. Her email is janetp@financemagnates.com, so you'll be able to get all the possible information from her. Thank you to all of our speakers. It has been great having you, and I look forward to seeing you in London.
Thank you.
Thank you so
very much.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.